I'm having a bit of a dispute with my neighbor. I just moved, and I was talking to my neighbor, and I said I was Muslim. I said I thought that what was going on in Gaza was a genocide. And then the next day, my neighbor puts up a huge Israeli flag, on his front door, and it felt very targeted.
If you feel like there is an expression of animus against your religious beliefs, then that's a bias incident. I mean, I want to center your perspective, and if you feel like this was a bias incident, that the flag is an expression of animosity against your faith or your country of origin, then we honor that, and I want to acknowledge that. So that would be a bias incident. Even if it is not very explicit, we go with whatever the victim is experiencing. And if your sense is that this is based on a discrimination against your faith or your country of origin, then we'll take that. That's how I would document it. So as it stands, it's a warning sign. I was wondering if you have security cameras, if the situation does escalate. Well, if you take this person to court for a civil protective order, for a restraining order, oftentimes the restraining order fails because if it is your word against their word, it's hard for the judge to be able to go one way or the other.
Okay.
But if you do have like a recording or video cameras that are kind of like providing evidence of the interaction, it just adds to your case. You could record conversations. I mean, if you think that you need to do that, you could organize a single party consent to the court. So you could record conversations.
You said you would log this as a bias incident?
That's how you are reporting it.
Yeah.
So I would honor your perspective.
Okay.
So
That'll like go into the state's like database or whatever it is of this, so that there's like a record that this happened.
Right. And it would go in the state database.
This is the other thing I want to ask you, just if there were any other resources you could direct me to, because honestly, it can be kind of isolating. There's all this Zionist propaganda out there, and it really upset me, and I wasn't really sure exactly where else to turn.
As a victim of a bias incident, you qualify for mental health support. So if your insurance does not cover the mental health support, you'd be able to get coverage and funding through the Department of Justice.
How would I go about that?
You just got to click on applying for crime victims compensation, CVC.
Okay.
And it'll take you to a portal. You just have to create an account, an email, and a password. And then once you do that, you can choose file an application for crime victims compensation. It'll ask you what crime were you the victim of, and what you have to select is hate/bias incident. It's a drop-down menu under type of crime.
Okay.
And you just go select hate, bias incident.
And so even though it's not technically a crime, that's okay?
That's one of the laws that changed recently. If you are the victim of a bias incident, even if it's not a crime, you qualify for mental health services. I would encourage you to keep reporting to us, and you can remain anonymous like this. Just keep us updated about how the situation is changing.